Hey, this is Joshua with New Review, coming at you with a new review of the final 4 episodes of RvB Season 14. These episodes are Desolation, Red vs. Red, and Blue vs. Blue, and Epilogues. Starting with Desolation, this takes place right after Wash gets shot through the neck. Everyone's doing everything they can to make sure that they can get to Wash to get him safe. Uh, the team goes through and basically kills all of the sim troopers that are still left behind. A lot of them were the crazy fanatics, who I believe Caboose and Sarge met early in the series. And they say the prophecy has been fulfilled, the beast has arrived, blah. And the beast is Caboose, and Caboose kills them all. And it's just kind of funny. However, then they get to, and then Locust gets his ship. He gets Wash onto the ship, and they fly off to a place to make sure that Wash can get the help that he needs. And that's the last we see of them for this. Last we see of Locust for the season, and last we see of Wash until the season finale. And then they know by now that they're planning to go to, that the Blues and Reds are planning to go to Earth to destroy UNSC headquarters, which is in Wyoming. And Dylan, the reporter, gets a call from her science friend who says it's a drill that's powered by time, and if they activate the drill and use the drill, it will destroy the world. By world, I mean Earth. The world of Red versus Blue is the galaxy and universe, but in this case, it would destroy Earth, which would be bad for billions of people. And so the next episode, Red versus Red, and the episodes Red versus Red and Blue versus Blue are a reference to the original, the little track song that would play every so often. Red versus Red, Blue versus Blue, I versus I, and me versus you. Which, now that you really think about it, makes it's kind of a really cool thought of the show. Anyways, so Red versus Red, it's really them coming to the island and doing everything to fight the outer defenses, to weaken them to the point where they can go into the facility where the drill's been set up to stop it from destroying the world. And it's this really big, epic fight, and Tucker does all sorts of damage. He even punches a tank until it blows up, which is kind of weird. There's also a lot of sim troopers that they fight and kill. So basically, the only sim troopers that'll be left by the end of this will be the Reds and Blues, and the Blues and Reds. So that'll basically be the end of what was left of Project Freelancer. And it seems that Carolina is having a little bit of trouble, because obviously she just saw someone she was super close to get nearly killed, possibly killed. And she also was frozen in her armor for several days. So she's still a little weak. And so she isn't able to do as much damage as she would have been able to had she been at full strength. And then Blue versus Blue airs, and it's really a little bit more personal. We see Sarge versus Surge, and it's a really interesting exploration of Sarge's personality. A little microcosm exploration, if you will. And he's talking about being a true soldier and all that, and then he's trying to save Surge at the same time, but he lets go while he's monologuing, and Surge falls into a beam thingy and gets disintegrated. This looks really awkward. Anyways, and so that was a little funny goops Oopsie Daisy by Sarge. And then Gene and Simmons, a little funny humor that they had, they get into a fight, and they're both voiced by Gus Sorolla. And so they're fighting, they're trying to beat each other, and Griff comes in, and he doesn't know who to shoot because they look exactly the same, they sound exactly the same, and so he goes the first line we ever heard, and it was, "Why are we here?" And Gene doesn't understand the whole thing behind it, and then ends up getting thrown off of the platform they're fighting on and is hanging on for dear life above, I think, lava. And it also turns out he liked the prequel trilogy more than the original trilogy of Star Wars. So as far as I'm concerned, he can fall into that lava. And that's the last we see of Gene, so his fate is really up in the air, as is their robot Lorenzo, who speaks with an Italian, who speaks Italian, which is weird. And then we get to the room with the drill in it, and they're doing everything, and Temple and Loco are doing everything they can to make sure this goes without a hitch, and everyone else is trying to stop it. And Loco gets shot, and everyone, and it seems that Griff distracts Temple enough for them to do what they need to do to stop it. But it's a little too late, and it's still going. And then this weird portal rips open, and we see Church in the like when it looked way back in the beginning. And so it's this really nice juxtaposition of super old engine from Halo and then super new engine from Halo. And that's when it cuts off. And then the next episode, it starts out with this nice, well, confusing for Church because it's past Church, but this really nice moment for Caboose to say goodbye. Of course, this Church is Church Alpha program and not Church Epsilon program. But they're basically the same character, and Caboose was able to say goodbye, and he wasn't able to say goodbye when Church destroyed himself at the end of Season 13 as a way to help the Reds and Blues survive the final fight, which we didn't get to see, but, you know. And then Vic comes back, and he's used to stabilize the machine because they stopped it, but it was still going, and it was going to still destroy the world. And Vic uploads. It's his third wish, and he stabilizes it. And then time freezes, much like it did at the end of Season 13. And Church at the end of Season 13 had this very beautiful monologue on what it means to be a hero, and how sometimes that means the hero doesn't get to see the end, which is actually kind of true. And Vic does a very similar thing, only he's like, I don't, like, if anyone saves me, I'm going to be super mad. And he's gone. But he does a very similar monologue about hero doing this thing and then dying. Of course, he wanted to die. And actually, during the season, there was a little bit of, like, there's a lot, like, it felt very, like, the consequence of having him be there by himself, the consequence of him being in existence for so long, how he's lost his purpose and is now without a purpose, and felt really sad at certain points about it, and it really made a lot of, like, granted Vic's personality, it made sense for him to go like that, but you kind of think back to how he's an AI and he needed to eventually do what all AIs do in the Halo universe. And it ends with Tucker not killing Temple or Bucky, and the chorus lieutenants and sister, Griff's sister, reunite, and everything's all settled. And then Dylan settles everything, and she does this beautiful monologue, and it kind of connects to all of the different characters and their journey this season. And this season really was about the consequences of past actions and how those consequences shape the development of characters in the future. One good example was Caboose's consequence of not being able to say goodbye, and ultimately how that affected him this season. There was a funny consequence with Tucker and him impregnating several women on chorus and then having to pay child support after doing that. And then there are a few epilogue scenes, like credit scenes. One of them is the Blues and Reds in jail getting fish. One of them is Jax selling his movie, which is like a 300-page script. It's huge. And then just picking up with Church right where the portal left off. And he says, yeah, fuck this. I'm going to imagine this never happened and never tell anyone about this. And yeah, and the time travel thing was a little bit of a reference to back early on in the series when they switched from one engine to another. And they said, oh, we went forward in time. Then they retconned that and never talked about it again. But yeah, this was the 15th season of the longest running web series of all time. I'm looking forward to season 16. This will be the first time where a season isn't connected to a large overarching story. Whereas the first 5 seasons were Blood Gulch Chronicle, then there was the relocation, the recovery trilogy thing, and then there was the Freelancer Project duology. Then there was the Chorus trilogy. Then last season was an anthology series, but this season was basically standalone, and I hadn't done that before, and I'm really curious as to how they're going to go, what they're going to do going forward. I really did enjoy the themes this season, especially the whole theme about consequences. And yeah, this was season 15 of Red vs. Blue, and this is Joshua with New Review signing off.